This man has been sensational for us, and he has got a Cox Plate runner. I speak of Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments. And Winning Edge Investments, you've got to start betting like a professional. Chances are you're about to lose. Dino, welcome back to Giddy Up, mate. How are you feeling on Cox Plate Eve when you have a runner in King, Colorado?
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. It's just not something you expect when you get involved on the horse. You can dream about it all you want, but yeah, to have a runner in such a world-renowned race is just it's hard to believe, and just a huge mixture of nervousness and excitement, and I just can't wait for tomorrow.
Is he the forgotten horse in a way? Everybody's talking about his stablemate Gold Trip, the Hong Kong star Romantic Warrior. There's been great debate on whether horses like Brightside and Fangirl can get a strong 2,000 metres. Is Alligator Blood, is this his year, or militarised? Like, he's a three-time Group 1 winner and didn't have any luck in a Caulfield Guineas off a slow tempo. But your horse was unlucky in a Winx. You could forget about his run in a Golden Rose. And I thought he was mighty in a Caulfield Guineas. And there's strong debate and argument that his run was as good as, say, a militarised, but no one wants to talk about your horse. So do you feel disrespected here, Dino?
It is interesting. I think everything you say is right. And I think if he'd got a gap in the Winx stake, he would have been right in the finish, and people would have been really impressed with it. But he just got sort of chopped out at the wrong time. I think Golden Rose, because of his favourite, he was sort of disappointing on face value. But I think they kept him very fresh for that race, because they thought 1,400 was too short. It was a stop-start race. The track was really hard, so he was only beaten a couple of lengths. And people forget that there's plenty of sort of Cox Plate 3-year-old winners and place getters that were beaten a few lengths in the Golden Rose and a few lengths in a Caulfield Guineas. And yeah, I just think Caulfield Guineas was kind of D-Day for us to know if he was really going all right. And I don't think there's many horses that could have sat out 3 wide, no cover in that race and run as well as he did. He was still finding the line late in fourth, beat home militarised. You go through the day, and there weren't many horses that got caught up wide that were able to do anything, particularly without cover. So, he didn't drop off at all. He stuck on well. Kieran seems very confident the 2,000 metres is what he's looking for. He's finally sort of rock hard fit and ready to go. And yeah, I guess the price discrepancy between him and militarised is larger than I would have expected, because I think, militarised had been stuck out 3 wide, no cover where he was. But I don't know whether it would have been able to run all that much better.
Romantic Warrior's $3.80, touched $4 yesterday, now back into $3.80 for the Cox Plate. Zaki at $19. Brightside's been the big firmer since the barrier draw. He was double figures, now into $7. Alligator Blood remains solid at $5.50. Gold Trip solid at $8. My Oberon 61. Even Pinstripe, he was 100 to 1, now into $71 after the barrier draw. Fangirl's been surprisingly for me, she's still solid around that $8.50 quote. Joaz at 26. Victoria Road's done the opposite to Mr. Brightside. He was single figures. He even touched as low as $6 with Bet365 out to $12. Militarised at $8, and then King Colorado at $26. Who are you tipping, Dino, in this year's Cox Plate?
Yeah, it's interesting. I like to do the previews of the races and look at the history. And I looked over the last 12 years, and there's some really interesting things that I think people probably haven't noticed. In the last 12 years, mares have won 6 of the races. The others had Winx before them, but mares have won 6 of the last 12. A 3-year-old Colts won one of them. And 4 4-year-old Entires, which is a mixture of 4-year-olds like Animo, but then a couple of those Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds like Adelaide and State of Rest, and a 5-year-old Entire. So, from 59 starters, we haven't had a gelding win in 12 years. And there's sort of 6 geldings in the market in the race. And the other interesting thing is the horses with the top weight, the 59 kgs, have had 79 starters for 1 winner. So 11 of the winners in the last 12 years from only 65 starters have been essentially a group of mares, colts, and young Entires. And so, when you sort of look at how this race has been shaping up year on year, taking short odds about horses like Romantic Warrior and Mr. Brightside, Alligator Blood, Gold Trip, mathematically, they're going to find a lot tougher to win than some of the good horses. So I'm really leaning towards some of these horses down the bottom. Victoria Road, Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old Colt, Trade and O'Brien. He just had that similar profile to both Adelaide and State of Rest, who both won Cox Plate as Northern Hemisphere 3-year-olds for the O'Brien family. Won the Bleeders Cup Juvenile. over 1760 metres at Keeneland as a 2-year-old, ran third at Ireland, a Group 2 level, only beaten 1.5 lengths last start. There's some pretty good male horses working well, and they're happy with them. Blake Shin is probably riding, as well as anyone in Melbourne at the moment. And I think Victoria Road's really, right up to the race, up to his eyeballs. I think
Just with that, Dean, sorry to interrupt. Can you explain the drift then for us?
It might just be that there was so much money for him.
Yeah.
The bookies overreact sometimes, and he was, I actually advised members to back him at 26 to 1, quite a few weeks ago when it was confirmed he was coming. Since then he sort of turned really heavily into the $7 or $8, and I think there's always sort of this push for some of the Aussie horses. There's money for Alligator Blood, which makes sense. People are backing Gold Trip. Romantic Warrior's obviously come for a lot of support now that he worked well. So I think the market's just sort of shifting itself into shape. People like the 3-year-old Militarized. I think something had to drift, and so I think he just came in so much that people who wanted to back him have probably backed him, and now they're starting to back some other things. I think that's the only explanation I can give for it. I think Fangirls is absolutely flying. Coming off a 2.8 length demolition job, winning a $5 million race at King Charles Stakes. She was so heavily backed. She's obviously done most of her racing over a mile, but she won a Group 1 over 15 meters as a 3-year-old, and she beat Hinge, but then it's sort of 5 lengths back to the rest of the field. She's got Zach Burton aboard. She's always given me the impression that she'd be a 2,000 meter horse, and I think the thing with Fangirl, I look at some of the previous mare winners like Dane Ripper and Pinker Pinker. They were 1,400 meter mile horses as well. And I'd say Fangirl, if anything, is more like a 2,000 meter horse than either of those were, and they were still able to win a Cox Plate. So I think some people are sort of overestimating that concern of the 2,000 meters. I think this girl's flying. She's racing as good as she ever was. When she was running second, she was running second to Animo. So I think she's right up into this. And then I do think the 3-year-olds have such a good record in this race. Militarized has won 3 Group 1s already. Everyone's seen that sort of Corporal Guinea's run, which was similar to what So You Think did, but similar to what Seamus Award did. So he's right in the race, and he's lucky enough to have drawn well. And King Colorado is a Group 1 winner as well, and 3 wide no cover in the Guineas. I think it's just one of those things. If he'd managed to slot in, he just had no luck. If he'd managed to slot in, I think he probably runs a good, strong second. He probably hits the line really well, and everyone would have been talking about him, and he probably would have been $12 in this race. So. I'm leaning right down to the bottom, but I think somewhere between Victoria Road, Fangirl, and the 3-year-olds, I think the winner's going to come from one of them.
So Mickey Gannon, who's a terrific judge, he's got a great record with us here on our weekend preview and throughout the week on Bag of Tips. He'll give you $29 for Fangirl, and he loves his Sydney form especially. Yeah, so I don't know.
Give me his number.
Yeah, I know. We'll see if we can get him.
I'm happy to sort something out.
Yes, we'll see if he'll give you $29. The question mark that I've got a couple of questions for you. So Fangirl's going to go back from the draw. She'll probably need a gem from Purton, won't she?
Well, she's got the best rider in the race, so someone's going to give her a gem. It's going to be him. I just see her as the horse that's just going to sit and wait. And they go so hard early in the Cox Plate. They sometimes walk early, but Alligator Blood and Zaki up there, they're not going to muck around. Alligator Blood won the Might and Power by running into the ground, and Zaki's always been better running horses into the ground as well. So they're going to go hard. I presume you're going to have Militarized and King Colorado with their lightweights right behind them. And with those lightweights, they're just going to truck up into it. But then you're going to have other horses that are just going to be off the bit, I think, and struggle. I think Mr. Brightside will struggle over 2,000. And I think he'll be going backwards. And then you have the likes of sort of Gold Trip, Victoria Road coming into it. And I just think Fangirl is the one, I can see Zaki's just going to sit. He's just going to wait because she's a question mark over 2,000. If there's one horse who's going to be hitting the line hardest than any of them, I think it's going to be Fangirl. And it'll just be a question of whether she gets there in time. But I think Zach's just going to wait and pounce. And like I said, I can understand why people might have a question mark over 2,000 with her, but when I go back and look at mares like Dane Ripper and Pinker Pinker, I go, well, this race can actually suit those horses.
Yeah, and that stat, 6 of the last 12 years, I don't know, Winks plays a major part there, but it just proves what a farcical it is that mares still get a weight allowance in these type of races.
Yeah, I just think the weight allowance is helping the mares, it's helping the the young empires and the 3-year-olds to a point where the history is showing us that it's very, very difficult for those older geldings to win this race.
Just the last one on this race. I'm really keen on Romantic Warrior. Your ratings and what you look at, Dino, my opinion is if he turns up into the form that we know he can, like close to his best, say 95% of his best, he wins this year's Cox Plate because he's simply faster than his opposition. Is that a fair comment, or do you think that the Hong Kong form can be a little bit overrated in a way compared to our form here?
Yeah, it's interesting that Hong Kong form is not always all that strong. There's often a question mark about it. But then you try to toe some lines. Like obviously Dubai Honor came over here with fresh tail horses, fresh Animo, and then went over there and sort of, Romantic Warrior tailed them up. But whether Dubai Honor was past it by that point in time, whether that was a run too far for him, it sort of can be difficult to line up. I know James McDonald has a huge opinion of Romantic Warrior, so you just have to respect the fact that he talks about him so glowingly, and I think probably thinks he's better than Animo. Obviously wasn't, but it's a lot of it's a lot to make up the gap between him in the Turnbull and now. I know it's 3 weeks, but he's beaten sort of 4 lengths. He raced Keen. He probably won't race as Keen this time, so it'll help him. I think he'll be running back. So I think we'll see him hitting the line well. It's just, a Cox Plate still a Cox Plate. And, I think the trainer still saying he's sort of 95% fit. He's sort of been half a run short, I'd say, since he got here. And that's going to be the question mark. And I think taking $4 about all of those question marks it's too skinny for me, particularly with the record of the older horses. But, on face value, what you're saying is right. He's a better horse than Alligator Blood and Mr. Brightside Gold Trip. And, yep, he'll tell them up. But, I've got him 6th rated. It's not like I don't think he can win. I think he's the best of those older sort of horses up on the weights, but I just think the historical factors have got me wanting to find the winner from down the bottom.
Yeah, it's a great race because there's so many different opinions. Some say Romantic Warriors is a good thing. Others say that he's a false favourite. Some say Fangirl's streaming to get a strong 2,000 metres. Great judges like yourself think she's a wonderful chance. Some say Mr. Brightside will definitely get 2,000. What they saw after his King Charles, that he's looking for 2,000, he gets a low gain and he's a better chance than he was last year from a wide gain. Some say Alligator Blood can't get 2,000. Some say that he's never been in better form. Some say Gold Trip had too tough of a run and can't win it. They should have saved him for the Cox Plate. But others say that there's going to be tempo on and he's going to be the toughest horse on the way home. And Victoria Road's got that X factor. So it's got all of the ingredients, and then you've got your 3-year-olds to be one of the great Cox Plates. It's definitely one of the most fascinating races in this great race that I've seen for quite some time. So bring it on. That's why we love this game, Dino, because there are so many different and passionate opinions on this year's WS Cox Plate. The Manikato, well, there's only one bloke I know that says that she wasn't real value at $1.50 around that quote with Imperatrice for a Manikato Stakes, and that was our great mate Miles Fitzner on this show. But like she's into $1.35 now. That's too short. But I thought she was value around that $1.50 quote there, Dino. I can't see her getting beat. What about you?
I think if she runs to how she's been racing, then she probably doesn't get beat. She's the best winning mare in Australia. 6 wins and a close second from her past 7 starts. Most of them are Group 1 level. Way too good for them in McEwen and the Moira. She's certainly set to repeat here. She's done nothing wrong. She looked really good when she was working under Mickey D earlier this week. I don't know anyone who wins back in these things with $1.50 has no short odds. It's not what I've done throughout my punting career, and I'm not about to start now. So, I don't back her. I'll see how she parades. If I feel like there's a chink in the armour, I might bet small on sort of like the Buenos Noches and Uncommon James, but with the total knowledge that if Imperatrice runs to her ratings and to her best, then she wins again here. And it's not like she's over the top. She's third up. She's going quite well. I do think Uncommon James is a really good horse. He just pulled its head off too much last start with the blinkers, so he'll improve. But it's not just been going well. Gets a good rider change here, and I think. Coming up on Everest too, I think it's really underestimated how many horses really bounce off on Everest and go really well their next start. So I think I and Me was sort of the benefit of had the benefit of track bias last start. So unless there's a really strong leaders track path again at Memory Valley, I'd probably be steering away from her, but that can happen as well. But for me, it's probably going to just be a watch race unless I see Imperatrice in the yard and there's something I don't like.
And this is why this is another great learning curve for this great game when you listen to professionals like Dean Evans and then you listen to some other professionals. Now, and for us punters who are just recreational punters who enjoy a bet during the week but only small and you do it for entertainment, is that you do it because you do it for fun, of course, but you do it whatever suits you. Now, there's different philosophies with different ways people like to gamble. Some like to do multis, some like to do exotics. They can find value there. Others like to do win. Others like to do place. Others like to bet in certain jurisdictions. And some would say that $1.50 is a great bet for Imperatrice because they say, well, I love backing value. And if I've rated her $1.30 and I'm getting $1.50, well, it's time for me to punt. So there's all types of different philosophies when it comes to this great game. And I find it interesting. And if you think she's $1.50 chance and if you think she's $1.30 chance and you're getting $1.50, well, then you put into your multis. But it's such an interesting discussion point around Imperatrice heading into a Manikato. And let's have a look at the Group 1, the final Group 1 of the Sydney Carnival with the Spring Champion Stakes. We've got Raff Attack at $7. Tom Kitten. Could this be his day? There's some say that he'll just win. The others say that there's a question mark over him getting a strong trip here in this year's Spring Champion Stakes, but he's at $2.30. Port Lockroy at $10, and then we go down to Tutta La Vita, the filly there with Bet365 at $6, Dino. How do you read this race?
Well, we talked about Tom Kitten quite a few weeks, I think, when I first, was speaking with you on the show, and we talked about how well the horse had been trialling and he was flying, and we had a chat about, his futures price, and I think I sent something out to my members and said, take that $12, $13, and that's, it's looking all right now, but, the horse is absolutely flying. There's no doubt about that. I think there's nothing that I dislike more than a horse drawn barrier one. That's a back marker. It is the most difficult place to win. And I always use the example, there's a million examples of, and the statistics that I've studied show that undoubtedly. But you look at one of Winx's, most difficult wins, I think, was in the Turnbull when she was sort of back on the fence and she only just won. And it's just very, very, very difficult to do for any horse. And Tom Kitten goes from, Nash, who's I think probably been the best rider in Australia for quite a while in the form that he's in, and obviously the blue suspension. He gets replaced, and that's hard. And I just think there's a real slow speed here. My database is saying that they're not going to go overly quick, and so I think that's a challenge for Tom Kitten. I think he's the best horse. He's absolutely flying. He's hit the line really well, and both the Dulcify and the Gloaming, and he's going really well. But that's going to be his challenge. I think he's got Tutta La Vita there, who really hit the line well in the flight stakes. She gives the impression by the Autumn Sun that 2000 is really going to suit her. Chris Waller and Jason Collett there. I think Tutta La Vita's a really good chance. And I thought roughly down the bottom there with Chris Waller with Madatsu still in the Melbourne Cup nomination.
Yes.
Ran a placing at Otaki in New Zealand and a listed race, only beaten ahead. Won really well at Kembla. He ran the fourth quickest last 600 of the day. It was plus 10.8 over the last 600. So he's the horse that really stays. Well, we also like the west. There's been a bit of rain here the last couple of days. So I think that juice out of the track's really going to suit Madatsu and make it a real sort of tougher staying affair. You can sort of sit in midfield. I thought it really huge odds. He was probably the one that might surprise them all. But Tom Kitten, I'm cheering for him. We've got the futures overs, but given we've got those good prices, I'm probably going to look at backing Tutta La Vita and Madatsu and have a few running for us at good odds.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Tom Kitten, when we've been talking up his chances in this race for over a month now, but you might be on the opposite trained to, say, Mickey Gannon with Fangirl, but he's keen on Madatsu as well. He's been tipping that horse strong all week, including yesterday's weekend preview. So $26 still with Bet365. Hey, Dino, thanks for your time. Love your input as always, and the best of luck in tomorrow's Cox Plate.
Thanks, Gareth. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we can have some luck.
Yep, go and get them, mate. Thanks for that. There's Dean Evans. WinningEdgeInvestments.com, tips and ratings from professional punters throughout the spring racing carnival. Chances are you're about to lose. And the best ever winner, and I keep on saying this each and every Friday, the best ever winner that you could back this weekend, head to Winning Edge Investments, go to their membership page, you type in SEN, and you get a lifetime 50% off a membership. So that's a 50% lifetime discount on a membership there at Winning Edge Investments. Now, that is backing a winner this weekend.
At Winning Edge Investments, our team of highly skilled expert analysts and full-time professional punters review the data, crunch the figures, assess the best betting opportunities, and deliver them to your phone via our app and your email inbox in real time so you profit. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com. Look at our membership options. Make your choice and enter the promo code PODCAST to receive a special 25% discount on your first membership just for listening. That's PODCAST in capital letters for a 25% ongoing discount on your first membership. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.